It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this inaugural session of the 7-day refresher course on research methodology, which is being organized by Law Society School of Law, University of Kashmir from 26th May 2022 to 2nd June 2022. Kashmir University has a rich intellectual capital, and academic work that is based on effective research has always been at the core of the processes that has produced and that continue to generate this intellectual capital. This 7-day refresher course, which is being organized for the LLM and PhD scholars of School of Law, University of Kashmir, is organized with the object of helping the participants develop a spirit of investigation, experimentation, and inquisitiveness, something that will help them to produce good quality research work and add to the intellectual capital of the university and the state. On that note, I once again welcome all of you to this inaugural session.
This refresher course has been organized under the auspices of the Law Society in continuation of a series of events undertaken by the Law Society during the current academic year. This refresher course has been organized keeping in view the seminal importance of quality research for the overall development of the academic and research ecosystem of the School of the Law. As such, the School of the Law is striving to provide opportunities to its budding researchers for owning their research skills. This refresher course is a humble attempt aimed at inculcating a holistic understanding of the core concepts of research to the research scholars. The Law Society done its best to attract the best resource persons from various disciplines. And thankfully, we are privileged to have the best minds delivering lectures throughout this week.
A human brain is like a phone SIM, a computer chip. When it comes into existence, it is all free of everything, free of all influences. It starts gaining influence and it starts becoming shadowed by the influence only when it has the external, basically, influences over it. You learn to basically be away from the fire, you know by the way of experience that it burns. You learn to remain away of the river because you know by the time of by the experience that you are going to be drowned in the river. Therefore, these are always influences. I mean, there are so many studies which have shown that opinions are always borrowed, cannot be one's own creativity. You cannot have your own opinion. You cannot have your own opinion. Therefore, be cautious about this fact that whenever you come across opinions in the research, be very sensitive about the opinions. Try to basically put them to the hell of experience and then see what is their veracity and what is their truth. You may have an opinion about somebody in your class or as your teacher that he is a very good teacher. This is all what you heard from the external sources, and then you try to have an influence and then you try to have an opinion about that person. That ultimately, when you come across, when you have a real experience with that person, it may turn to be a false notion, and then you may have a different experience and different opinion while really experiencing in it, through real times and real practice. The third important thing is, without taking much time, the third important thing which I want to basically share with you is that a researcher has to have two things very clear in mind. One, what he is doing and why he is doing. Because unless and until he knows that what he is doing very clearly, very sharply, he may go basically. You have to have a focus throughout your time that what I am doing. Never should turn your basically eye from the fact that what you are doing. we have, for this reason, we have basically clearly laid down hypothesis and the objectives of the study in your synopsis, wherever you do it, or in your mind, if you don't have any synopsis clearly laid down. But fact of the matter is that you need not to basically shift your eye and mind from the fact that what you are doing. Never lose focus upon two things, that what you are doing and how you are doing. This is very important. I always, say to my students that be sure about this thing, that don't lose focus upon what you are doing and how you are doing.
So far as law is concerned, in which I have almost spent around 4 decades now, what is the substitute name I can give to the word law? You see, traditionally you have seen that statue, that blindfolded lady with a balance in one hand and a sword in another hand. Is this the another name of the word law? What does it indicate? You see, the modern age is an age of what you call as iconoclasm, बुद्धशिकनी जिसको आप कहते हैं. Whether this old blindfolded liberty statue can be broken under the new spirit of iconoclasm, buddhishikni, I think the answer is yes. The rising expectations of the rising population, these all point out to a new social as well as legal order, in which you have to act with an act of iconoclasm, buddhishikni. Well, traditionally, as George Braden has rightly pointed it out, that if I sit down for a while and decide to become a legal scholar, there are 5 areas in which I can choose. The first area is that you can simply sit, write an essay on the historical developments in the legal doctrines, the simplest form of legal research. The second legal research you can choose, that you can analyze different types of judgments and find out through analysis of the doctrines which judgment comforts, corresponds to the doctrines. The third one, that you can do the job of a law reporter and find out what are the important judgments relating to a particular legal doctrine. The fourth one is that you have a scope, that you can analyze a legal doctrine and then say what I believe it to be. And you can point out what can be the prospective developments or mood of the courts in the application of a legal doctrine.
I have seen that methodology can never be same. Even though I am from a subject of botany, if I look at my own lab, out of the 8-9 students who are working under me, methodology for all the students is different, even though general theme is same. And if we compare the methodology followed by the scholars of different labs, again they fall under different themes, and methodology in all the labs are different. Supervisor is same, general vision is same, but methodology is almost different in all the cases. That is reflective of the fact that in order to achieve the goals, we have to draft a plan. And that drafted plan can be edited at any stage and at every stage so that we can achieve the results. I'll just quote a couple of examples that have been backbone of modifying methodologies and modifying the plans of work. You might have heard the name of a plant that we in Kashmiri refer to as Zakme-Hayat. It's a plant, Zakme-Hayat is the common name, botanically it's known as Bergenia ciliata. It is said that once a traveler in the forest got injured. He was bleeding at a very rapid speed. He tried to cover, but he had no cloth, no cotton with him. And he saw a huge leaf of a plant growing on a rock. He chopped that off and applied that on his hand and tried to tie it up. And after walking for some more time and then sleeping for the night, next morning when he woke up, he found that whatever injuries there were on that hand, all of those injuries have been cured of. Zakme-Hayat gave us concept exactly what is lying in that plant and what can be the remedy for that injury and how that can heal up. And that shows that nothing can be perfect unless and until you yourself try to modify that. In research methodologies, whatever themes are proposed to be followed for your research, it is not ultimate. During the course of work, you can modify it. And those modifications can in turn help you to achieve the goals. You might have read there are many books about methodology published by different workers on different themes of different subjects. And scholars sometimes get confused which book I should follow. My advice to all is that in methodology, nothing is perfect. You can change methodology at any stage of your experimentation, be it, say, a student from law, be it a student from science, arts, social science, and so on. Reason being that nowadays, every theme that is planned to be followed for a particular research program or research degree, we are now entitled to incorporate any changes even up to 3 months prior to submission of the thesis. Reason being that at any stage, methodology may be forced to be changed to achieve the goals. Sometimes we see that examiners, after assessing the thesis, send a report and there is questions. And those questions are sometimes related to what methodology has been followed and how that methodology has been responsible for getting that result. And certain questions are raised that this methodology is not suitable, this could have been more suitable. That in turn educates a teacher as well as a scholar that methodologies can be modified throughout the plan of the work so that whatever we have drafted to be achieved during that span, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, sometimes maybe for 5 years also, we can be able to edit that methodology and follow so that we will be able to achieve the goals.
Research methodology, I'm sure very fruitful deliberations will take place, which will help you to carry on your research projects in a professional and in a fruitful manner. But few things I would like to point out. One is, while choosing your research project, please try to identify the gap that you are going to bridge. Never try to reinvent the wheel, because that's very essential ingredient of research. The research scenario of this region, the major problem which this region is facing is that we are trying to reinvent the wheel. We are not in a position to identify those gaps which exist in different those specializations, be it law, social sciences, biological sciences, any science. We are not in a position to identify those gaps. No, this gap needs to be bridged. अल्लामा इकबाल के ये सुनहरी अल्फाज मुझे याद आ रहे हैं, मेरे पैरों को बैर है कुछ उजड़ी हुई राहों से, उधर जाता हूँ मैं जहाँ कोई नहीं जाता. That is research. So we have to identify those gaps.